Bolt fam, welcome back to the 73rd edition of Chargers Powder Hour. Colin Appel, Miles Ruka here. We are your co-host. My dude, the NFL schedule just dropped about 2.5 hours ago. Man, there's a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into all of it. But first off, how you doing? How you been? It's been about a week since we've last recorded. What's new, my man?
Dude, I've been looking forward to this day since they announced the date of the NFL schedule release. So, just released about 2 hours ago here Central Time. And we are here to unpack it for all of you. So I'm doing great, my man. You and I both back in our hometowns, just kind of laying low, taking it easy. Yeah, man, I'm ready to get into this thing. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. Outside of the draft, this is like one of the key off-season dates that I look forward to, especially if you're a Chargers fan. You know the last couple of years how hard the Chargers have killed the schedule release with last year the anime video, and this year they followed it up with another anime video, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point
They killed
tonight
it
as
again.
well.
Spoiler alert, they killed it again.
They
So
did, man. And I honestly was not expecting another anime video, but it killed just as hard as last year's. There was some Easter eggs in there. I've only watched like once or twice, so I feel like, man, they do such a good job of like hiding little funny Easter eggs in those videos. I think I have to watch it probably like 5 or 6 more times to really get the full, you know, like every team's you know, little info on him there. But no, man, I'm excited. I'm. It's the time of the year where every fan starts to plan their trips and their games that they're going to, because now they officially know, hey, they're going to be here this week and then they're going to be there that week. So yeah, man, a lot going on. But and we're gonna unpack all of it. There's a lot to unpack, but yeah, man, I am excited. This is probably one of the most, probably one of the most excited episodes I'll be all off season. So yeah, with that, man, let's go ahead and get into it, because like I said, there's a lot to unpack. But first off, we gotta address this. What are you drinking? And please tell me it's not a Coors Light.
it is not a Coors Light. I'm here. Uh, I'm back home to a stocked alcohol fridge for the first time in a while.
Hell yeah.
Um, and man, it's been super nice outside, and that makes me think one thing: Rona. And you already see it. We got the
Ooh.
lime in there. Uh, so that's what I'm drinking tonight. Little cerveza. Rona with the lime doesn't get much better than that, my man. What are you drinking yourself?
My man, I had like 4 Coronas earlier. I went and disc golfed earlier, so
Mm.
I'm sitting like 5 or 6 deep. I'm feeling really good right now. I was just saying to my buddy before I hopped on this podcast, he was just over at my place a little bit ago, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a really good episode. I got a good buzz going. Schedule just came out. I'm hyped. Let's fucking go. So, with that being said, I am sipping on a good old classic Belgian wheat Blue Moon here.
Oh,
Again, I'm back home, so the fridge at my parents' house is stocked. That's always awesome. But
there we go, dude.
man, you
Shout out
can't go
parents'
wrong with a
houses
Blue Moon.
alcohol fridges. Shout out
That's
parents'
true.
houses alcohol fridges.
Can't go wrong with a Blue Moon though, man. It's
Dude,
got it's
I had
tasty. It's
sorry.
yeah, I'm a big wheat style beer guy. So, naturally Blue Moon, Shock Tops, those types of beers I gravitate towards. But man, yeah, sipping on a good Blue Moon, ready to jump into this Chargers schedule release. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into this
Real
bad
real
boy.
quick, real quick. Dude, that's funny
Yo.
that you had Rona earlier. Now I'm drinking Rona. I had a Blue Moon earlier today, and now you're drinking Blue Moon. So
All right, I like it. I
look
like
at
it,
us
man.
go, man.
Right. So, all right, man. Right off the bat, let's get into it. Schedule came out about 2.5 hours ago. It's no longer a secret. The news is out there. Chargers, 17 games. They open up against the Miami Dolphins. I think that in itself, as an opener, is a very intriguing game. I think the Dolphins are one of those teams, and I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself here because I do want to get your instant reaction, but just off first glance, like, looking at that first game, that's a really interesting one because with the whole Tua drama this last year, the Dolphins, like, what are they going to do at quarterback in the long term? Are they still going to be as dynamic as they were last year? I mean, week one, you can lose week one and no one bats an eye because no one really knows who you are until 5 or 6 weeks in. But man, what's your instant reaction to just the schedule as a whole? I mean, looking at it, you know, what's your instant reaction? Like what you like, what you don't like, what jumps out to you? What were your initial thoughts?
6 prime time games, dude, is tied for the top of the league. I believe the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and one other team also had the Bills. Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, and us all have 6 primetime games. That's including the one that we play against the Bills on Peacock on a Saturday. Uh, Dude, I hate the fact I'm going to touch on it now just since I mentioned it. I hate the fact that they're doing this streaming platform BS to us, man, because
Me
I do not
too.
have a Peacock account. So I'm going to have to make a fake account or do the free trial or something once week 16 rolls around. But looking at the schedule as a whole, I mean, 6 primetime games. It's clear the NFL wants Justin Herbert on full display in these games. And dude, just looking at the matchups, man, we have some great matchups in these primetime games. We got, Cowboys. That's always a fun game. We lost to them last year. Got to get some redemption. The
2 years
new
ago.
Jets with Aaron Rodgers. That's fun. Ravens is always a fun primetime game. I feel like we play the Ravens on primetime quite often, and that's always a fun game. And then obviously Raiders. I mean, if would it be an NFL schedule if we didn't have the Raiders on primetime? Let's be real. Oh, I guess we didn't play the Raiders in primetime last year, did we? But no, we didn't. I know we didn't because we
No,
played
I
on
think we
week
did.
one and then we lost to them in Vegas on like a random Sunday afternoon. So, but at least we got one AFC West team in our primetime schedule. But really, dude, the first thing that stuck out to me, week 18, finishing with the Chiefs sucks.
Yes. I
Sucks.
noticed that almost immediately.
And week 5 bye sucks. Those are the two things I really hate.
Yeah, with a week 5 bye, it is early. That's definitely something I noticed rather quickly as well. Um, I feel like the last couple of years though, we've had pretty good bye week luck. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think the last couple of years, like they've pretty much come in the middle of the season for the Chargers, like week 8, week 9, week 10, somewhere in that range. Bye weeks are interesting. I almost, yeah, I mean, ideally, looking at a schedule from like afar, you'd like to have that bye week somewhat kind of split up in the middle. But sometimes you get 4 or 5 weeks into the season, guys are already banged up. That bye week early could be a blessing in disguise, but it also could come back and I don't want to say bite them, but they could probably maybe feel it later in the year. If they have the bye week, week 5, come week 13, 14, 15, they might feel that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just I think we were kind of due to have a bye week, not fall
Yeah.
on a nice week in the season. So
I can't remember the last
yeah,
time we had a bye week not fall in like that, like 11 to 7 window. It feels like that's where we are every single
right,
season.
right. And so we don't know. I mean, look, it could end up being a blessing in disguise with that early bye week, but yeah, I definitely did notice that as well. Um, for me, I was right there with you. I noticed week 18 against the Chiefs, but even then, what I noticed was week 18 is in LA. Thank God.
Yeah,
I
that is
hate
true.
I hate when we go to Kansas City the last week of the season, um, with playoff implications or things on the line. Like it just, I'm glad we go to Arrowhead first and we come back to LA at the end of the season. So that I do like about that game. But yes, I mean, look, it's a smart move by the league. Chiefs Chargers week 18. There's probably going to be stuff on the line, possibly the division on the line. Herbert, Mahomes. Notice that they haven't. That's the only game in the entire schedule that is TBD, meaning there's probably
Definitely
already a 90% chance that gets flexed to prime time. So
seven,
Chargers have six
seven.
prime times. They
Now we're
probably most likely have seven.
I also forgot to mention we have the Bears on Sunday Night Football as well. So
We do.
that'll be a fun one. I
October
remember
29th, I believe.
Yes, you're correct. But yeah, sorry. Backtrack a second. Back to that Chiefs game. Dude, even if it was in Arrowhead, man, I'm just saying Justin Herbert is 1-0 in his career when the last game of the season is played in Arrowhead. So, well, actually, he's
Okay.
1-0 when he plays the Chiefs week 18, now that you think about it. So, sign me up, I guess, but
There's some asterisks next to that for sure, but we'll take it.
yeah, for sure. So, yeah, those are just kind of my initial thoughts. Bye week, Chiefs game at the end. I going back to the bye week, I would love to be in those positions where, let's say we're starting a tougher stretch in our schedule late in the year and we get that week of rest. But then I also see the other argument that, like, you get a week off and then who knows, you guys, you get out of that rhythm kind of. So, I think it's too early to hate on the bye week, even though I literally was just hating on it. We're just not going to know enough injury wise or personnel wise, stuff like that, to really know how much we're going to need a bye week by week 5. So
Yeah, so I did notice that. I mean, trying to think of just looking at the schedule here, other initial reactions that I had. Yeah, 6 primetime games, that's a big one. We'll touch on that here in a bit as well. But yeah, I mean, the Packers game, I think that's one that sticks out to me just in the sense of like most of the league, I mean, no one really knows what Jordan Love is at this point. So that'll be a fun one to watch. To be able to kind of see Love via Herbert or Love versus Herbert. Because for those of you that might have already forgotten, Jordan Love was heavily mocked to the Chargers in the 2020 draft. Now, I think we were all pretty happy with how that turned out,
yeah,
but
no kidding.
I do remember a time when I looked at Jordan Love's tape and was like, you know what? He wouldn't be my first pick, but if they ended up going with him, maybe like let's say they went Isaiah Simmons in the at 6 or 7 wherever they picked, and then they went and got a quarterback round 2. Like that was a very realistic approach for me at least. So I mean, I'd always kind of looked at Jordan Love in the sense of like, hey, you know, he could be a Charger. Like, who knows? We'll see how good this kid actually is. And now that he has a chance to do that with the Packers, I'm excited for that game just to see that head-to-head matchup.
Yeah, let's do that. What, just looking based off of our instant reactions, is that the game you're most looking forward to? If not, what is?
Not most looking forward to. I'd probably save that for like a primetime game, maybe like the Chiefs or honestly that Cowboys game really jumps out to me Monday night. Um, and the Jets game too. So
I think the Jets is the one I'm looking forward to
yeah,
most.
I would one I'm looking forward to most. I'll give the cheap answer. I'm gonna say week 1. Like fuck it. I'm
I
just looking
mean,
forward to week 1.
yeah, I'm looking
Dolphin like
forward to preseason week 1 at the Rams,
right.
actually.
But I think Dolphins Chargers is a really good matchup to start us off.
It is.
That's like 2 fan bases are gonna be talking shit leading like all off season because that's week 1. So all preseason you're gonna have already this clash of and maybe that's why the NFL did that. Maybe they just wanted to reignite the Tua Herbert debate for whatever God knows reason.
It's gonna be a war,
Um,
dude. All preseason's gonna be a war zone on Twitter leading up to that game, just like it was
exactly.
last year.
And we played them like what week 12 or
Yeah,
13
no,
last
we played
year.
them like week 15 or something. It was one of the last
Right.
weeks of the season, but still, yeah, later on in the season. So
So, dude, honestly, September 10th, Dolphins come to LA. That's a game like I mean, obviously everyone's looking forward to week 1, but like I said, those 2 fan bases are going to be talking shit almost the entire offseason from tonight until we play. Like it's set in stone. And that'll just be a fun one to watch. And if it's anything like last year's game against the Dolphins, it'll be very satisfying. And I'm gonna go Dolphins week 1. That's just kind of the boring generic answer, but it really is a matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing. And I love the fact that it starts us off.
yeah, dude, for sure. I think the Herbert Tua debates is fun to take part of, but if this game doesn't go the way that I hope it does, then Twitter's not going to be a fun place to be. I can tell you that much. So
We'll also
But
say
yeah,
The Bills game does
on
interest me a
freaking
lot because
Peacock.
outside of what Herbert's rookie year, he hasn't really played like that's the only time he's faced Josh Allen, correct?
Yeah, and that wasn't a very good game. So
Yeah, so that's probably, I mean, that's probably up there too, but you're going with the Jets game, huh?
I think so. It's just something about Monday night football really sticks out to me. It's only game of the day. You're not finishing up, a 10 game slate with other teams wrapping up Sunday
Right.
night football. So Monday night, dude, Aaron Rodgers in a different uniform against Justin Herbert in, let's see, that's in LA. Yes, in LA.
No,
No, sorry.
it's in New York.
In New York. In New York. You're right. In New York. Yeah, man, I'm really really looking forward to that game. But there's a lot of sleeper games on here. That was kind of one of my instant reactions. I know we just talked about that before we hopped on, but there's a lot of teams on this schedule that are kind of having a prove it year this year. The Dolphins really need to prove themselves. Mike McDaniel, and co. The Vikings, dude, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson. They just drafted another wide receiver. Who knows what the Cowboys are going to look like? New offense, no more Zeke. Um, Jets are going to be brand new. Lions were on the come up last year. Packers, we don't know what Jordan Love's going to look like, and we know what to expect from teams like the Chiefs and the Bills. But there's a lot of teams on here that are just absolute wild cards going
Yep.
into the season, I think, and that scares the shit out of me. I wish we had a lot more absolute dumpers on our schedule, but
It
hey,
does.
it's a competitive ass league, and I understand that we're going to be a lot more battle tested going into the latter part of our schedule. So
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. I mean, I think this is a great transition into another takeaway that I had of the schedule, and that is, look, the Bolts need a quick start in 2023. Now we know they're capable of getting off to a 2-1, 3-1 start, but it's always kind of that middle half of the season where they lose some steam, maybe kind of fall back to 500, and then they, kind of put things back together. And we know by now. I mean, it used to be called Phil Sember. You know, just with how well the Chargers played in December and their record in December, and now it's carried over into the Justin Herbert era. And that is, hey, if they're playing in December, that's good because that means they do well in December. But looking at the schedule, man, like they start off with a really high entertaining game in the Dolphins. And then they have a couple of scrappy teams that, I think wild card's a good way to put them. Titans, Vikings, but then things kind of cool down. They got the Raiders, they got a bye week, they come back and they play the Cowboys on Monday night. But really the second half of this schedule, man, like it gets tough. I mean, you got the Jets week 9. The Lions are going to be a scrappy team. We know how well they finished last year. You got the Packers, where we don't really know what they're going to be, so take or leave that one. You got the Ravens week 12.
I
Lamar's
hate playing,
back.
dude. I hate playing the Ravens.
Yeah, that and Sunday night, that's a primetime game, so
Ravens
that's
scare
going to
the
be a
shit out
very
of me,
anticipated
especially in
game.
prime time, dude.
And then from week 13 to week 18, all right, this is the alarming part of the schedule to me. You go to New England, which I don't care who's the quarterback. I don't care as long as Bill Belichick is the coach there. I have nightmares about the Patriots. We've never
Remember
played
what the
them well.
Patriots did the last time they played Justin Herbert?
Yes, they just. I went to that game in
Oh yeah, you were there.
Los Angeles. It was not fun. I did not have a good time. But yeah, so that game scares me. And then you go Broncos at home. That's a very winnable game, but divisional opponent. Then at the Raiders, another hard fight rivalry game. Doesn't matter what those teams' records are come week 15. That one's probably going to come down to the wire, just given those two teams and their history. And then you finish it up with Bills, Broncos, Chiefs. So a lot of some wild cards in those last 5 or 6 weeks, and then some really tough opponents. When you think of Chiefs week 18, Bills week 16, Patriots 13, Ravens 12. This is a schedule that the Chargers will do themselves a lot of favors if they can get out to a 6-2, 7-3 ish start.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, looking at it like you just mentioned, we finished the season 4 of our last 5 games are AFC West opponents.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we know damn well that we're not sweeping everyone in the division. That's just not the caliber of team that we necessarily are.
Where
I
did we
mean, I
go?
hope we do,
We
but
went 2-4 last year in the division. We got off to a 2-0 start and then dropped 4 in a row, I believe. So it came out.
no, we got out 1-1 because we played KC week 2.
Oh shit, you're right. Maybe that was 2021.
Well, okay, because yeah, we split with the Broncos and the Raiders, and then we lost both to KC. So yeah, we went 2-4 last year.
Right. So,
Mm.
dude, I don't think in the Justin Herbert era we've gone even 500 in the division, which is look, man. I don't care who you are. Like this, like you said earlier, it's such a competitive league that the records almost don't like. We know the records don't matter. If it's week 15 and the Raiders are 3-12 and we're 12-3, I'm still not sure about that game. Like rivalry games, you know both teams are going to play as hard as they can. Who they don't care about their records. They want that satisfaction of beating their division rival, and that's why, yeah, a lot of those later prime or not prime time division games, Broncos, Raiders, and Broncos and Chiefs, 4 out of the last 5 weeks. I don't like that setup at all.
I don't either, man. It just feels like such a trap. A lot of, and who knows, dude, the Broncos and Raiders very well could be absolutely tanking at that point in the season.
Dude,
But
you're going into week 14 having only played 2 divisional games. That is
exactly, that's
insane.
scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
So
So
especially when it comes down
a
to wild
lot.
card, because in conference records and your divisional records all come into such a factor that those last games are going to be so crucial towards our success this season. And like you said, yeah, starting off hot is obviously massive. We haven't lost a week 1 game since 2019, I believe.
Yeah. And I mean,
So
just looking at that Broncos game week 17, we've lost the last 2 games in Denver, maybe even farther back than that, but I know the last 2 for sure we've lost. Um, so that one, like looking at that one, the schedule, yeah, you can look at it and be like, oh, that's the Broncos, whatever. Like they're gonna get off to a 4-10 start, and yeah, you look at it and you're like, yeah, whatever. But no, like Broncos play us tough at Denver, like not an easy place to play. I would say, I mean, outside of Kansas City, it's the toughest place to play in the division, easily. Um, that game scares me, man. Like, what the question I ask, and looking at this schedule was like, what games are the Chargers not going to show up for? Let's do that. What if you had to
yeah,
look at the
I
schedule
like
right
that.
now? If you had to take a guess, which games would you say the Chargers are just going to completely not show up for and fall flat in?
There's going to be one game against the Broncos and one game against the Raiders for sure.
That's fair.
They
I can
usually
see
play
that.
KC pretty close. All right.
Yep.
I don't know if I hope we split with them. That's always my goal going into the season. But regardless, we always tend to play pretty decent minus a few mistakes against Kansas City. But the Broncos
Right.
and Raiders, especially last 2 years, have had, especially in just one game a year, have had our absolute number. So
I would say
I think that's a given.
yes, I would agree. And the other one I would add to that list of just looking at the schedule here, it would be the Patriots.
Yep, Patriots would be another one I would add.
And
And
then
I mean,
possibly like the Vikings, because we always fucking
yeah,
play
we
like
do always
ass
stay.
against the Vikings.
Eric Kendricks revenge game week 3 though, man. He's gonna be coming for heads, brother. But
For real, man.
I feel like there's got to be at least one primetime game that we just don't show up for, and I could very well see that being the Ravens game
Yeah, that's
of the
yeah.
primetime games.
Yep, I could see that. I could see
Because
that.
I'm just thinking back to when we made the playoffs with Phil and we beat the Ravens, and the when we played them prior in the regular season on primetime, they throttled us.
We also got fucked by the refs that game.
Well, okay,
Like
we're not gonna look back to games from 2018, but still, yes. But
I know, but like any fans listening to this podcast, like if you just go back, if you remember where you were during that game, because I do, I watched it in my living, like I remember where I was, and just
I have
all
no
the
idea.
missed call, like the refs, dude, it was so bad. But also, I mean, the Gates fumble at the end was just heartbreaking.
Oh
So
yeah. Okay. I don't even remember too much
had they
about
won
that
that
game.
game, yes, they would have finished in the first seed. So I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, no, the Ravens I think would be like that's another good candidate for a game that it's just a team that seems the last couple of years that's had our number. So hopefully they show up for that game, but it just feels like, man, this team, even before the season comes out, as much as we love them, as much as we hype them up, it never seems to fail, man. There's always like 4 or 5 games a year where it's just like super flat, not prepared, whatever you want to call it. And it's just they're not fun Sundays. They're not fun Sundays. So I'm not trying to be too negative, but I just was curious as to what your take was on how many games you think they're like not going to show up for. So
I would say there's always at least 3 a year. So
I would say so, and that's
there's
probably the
always
case
3 a
for a
year.
lot of
Because well,
teams too.
let's look back to what games did we really not show up for last year? I mean, I can't even remember our schedule from last year. We had Broncos and Raiders
Yep.
twice we didn't show up for, and then I would have to go back and look at our schedule. But I'm sure there's several other instances of games that we just looked like shit during. So Jacksonville second half. If we play every single team like we played against Jacksonville in the second half, we're going 0-17 very easily. So
Yeah,
let's not do that.
I agree, man. Let's go ahead and move on to what you were just talking about earlier. Chargers have 6 primetime games in 2023 with, I think, it's very, very early, but I think that Week 18 game probably ends up being primetime as well, because how could it not? I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Week 18,
The only way is
probably something on the line.
if the Chiefs have the one clinched and they rest starters, that'd be the only way I could see that
That'd
game
be the
really
only
not
way.
getting flexed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like let's just say that we suck. What if we're like 6-11 going into that game, or 6-10 going in that game? Like, but yeah, I would say there's a very good bet that we will be up to 7 primetime games by the end of the regular season. So, but
I will
man,
say if we're 6-11, house needs to be cleaned. Like,
if we're 6-11, I'm probably not gonna be doing this podcast anymore. I'm probably gonna delete the Twitter account, and we're just
dude,
gonna.
for real, like, just starting over in life. I mean, why not? Like,
I'm
yeah, no,
choosing
like
another team if we're 6-11, dude. Like I don't care how much money I have invested into this squad. If we go 6-11 with Justin
you
Herbert at
wouldn't. That's the thing.
quarterback,
That's how I know you're a Chargers fan for life. They go 0-17, and next year we'd both be like,
we're
yeah,
gonna
I
get it.
don't know.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
Exactly. So, man, 6 primetime games. It's for me like that's one of the first things I noticed on the schedule, and I love it because, man, even if your team isn't the favorite to win the division or make the playoffs or really be much of anything, like primetime game, everyone like when your team's on primetime, it hits different.
It
It
feels
just
good.
does. It
It
just
just
does.
feels good. You get like texts from your families or friends like talking about the game and stuff. Like nobody gives a shit about that if it's a 4:30 p.m. kickoff. But when it's prime
Right.
time, everyone's watching and everyone's thinking in their heads like, dude, if the Chargers blow this, Miles is gonna like wrap his car around a pole. So
You also like when the do you ever get this like when the Chargers are in prime time, like I think you almost hit exactly what I was trying to say, but other buddies that are NFL fans, they are fans of other teams, they're watching. So
yeah,
like if they my worst one of the worst things the Chargers can do in my mind is shit the bed or blow a lead or just fucking fuck it up on prime time because not only is it on prime time and all of Twitter, all of Facebook, it's going to be on ESPN right after the game. Like, not only all of that. So if they lose, you have to relive it for a solid day or two. But then you get texts or messages from buddies that are just watching. And I do it too. Like when my buddies' teams are playing and they fucking shit the bed, I always send texts like, hey, man, what happened? So I'm always waiting for messages and text and whatnot, like after the Chargers blow a primetime game or they just lose in whatever Chargers fashion. Um, it always kind of adds some salt to the wounds. So I mean, I love and hate primetime games, but I mostly love.
there's just something about that. It's just like a amount of hype that just builds up throughout the day, and then like the second that ESPN kickoff comes on, and Everyone's
Mm.
making their picks, dude, and you're seeing everyone warm up out on the field. It just nothing just gets you pumping really more than that.
All right, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna play a game of fuck one, marry one, kill one. You know where I'm going with this?
Yep, I do. I know exactly where
All
you're
right.
going with this.
Thursday night,
Yep, there
Sunday
it is.
night, and Monday night.
All right. This is probably the easiest question I've ever been asked. Well, okay, in your terms, is fuck better than marry or is marry better than fuck? I feel like marry's better than fuck.
Yeah, I would probably I would
Because
probably say
like
the same.
it's kind of you get both of them in that marriage. So Monday night, I'm marrying Monday night. That's hands down.
Ooh.
I just
Okay.
I
Okay.
earlier this podcast I was just telling you how big of a hard on I have for Monday night games. And we have two of them. So I'm gonna go Monday night for my Mary. It's just like I said, something different about being the only game on during the day. Just so much more builds up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably I'm gonna fuck Sunday night football easily. I mean, after a long day of watching more football and you get treated with more football and then halftime hits and you get that, oh man, I have an assignment due tomorrow type vibe, and then you're like, oh shit. But yeah,
The
Sunday night,
Sunday
it's just a
scaries
perfect.
aren't as scary when your team's on primetime.
Oh no, they like you can have the scariest Sunday of your life, but if your team's playing prime time, the second 7:20 rolls around, dude, those scaries are out the window.
All is
Unless
right.
they lose, then your scaries are way worse after. But
Then there are times like 4 or 5.
exactly. So, and then obviously I'm killing Thursday night. I personally don't hate Thursday night football as much as other people do. But like I get it. I understand from players' perspectives, like short weeks suck. And let's be honest, I'm not even just talking about the Chargers, but over the past few years, we've had some absolutely atrocious Thursday night
Yeah, dude.
matchups.
I don't know which maybe this year's format will help that now that teams can play twice on Thursday night. This is the first year that that is a thing. And I don't know what it is. Like the Monday night games are like Monday night and Sunday night are never as bad as Thursday. So like it's just
They're just
the
like
schedule maker for Thursday night games
they're just
just
like let's
like
just put some shitters into Thursday
yeah,
night.
like are you just trying to put two basement teams to get like it seems like that like it's never the same with like Sunday or Monday. Like those always like, yeah, sometimes it'll be like a good team and a shitty team, but it's at least not two shitty teams. I don't know. Like yeah, I would make mine a little different than yours. I'm
I
going
mean I know what
to
you're gonna say as well, but
I'm a fuck Monday night. Monday night's just too sexy, man. It's too
okay.
attractive.
Well, dude, marriage
She's in
goes
your
hand in
ear. She's in your
hand.
ear all weekend. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here. You know,
Bro, but
I'll be
think about it.
around."
Think about who's in your ear Sunday night. I've been waiting all day for Sunday.
That's
Dude, you got
true. That's
Carrie
true.
Underwood in your ear for
Yeah,
Sunday night. It
that,
doesn't get sexier than
that's a
that, dude.
valid. That is a valid point you have there. Carrie Underwood
So
does sell
I didn't
Sunday
even
Night
think about
Football.
that when I was saying my answers, but I'm happy that I thought about it now. So
I'm a Merry Sunday because growing up, I think I just watched way more Sunday night games than Monday night. Like growing up, I grew up listening to John Madden and Al Michaels on Sunday night, like calling the game. And then, now even like Collinsworth gets a lot of hate and shit, but I don't mind him. Like, I do think it's going to be different now that Al Michaels is not around, which he wasn't there this season. Wasn't it already Mike Tirico?
I don't believe that he was around this weekend
Yeah, so
or
that's I
weekend
guess
this
that doesn't
last
even
week.
matter because he's already been gone for a year. But yeah, man, Sunday night for me, like I like Chris Collinsworth. He can get annoying. Like he does say some annoying shit sometimes where it's like, oh my god, dude, okay, whatever. But I don't know, man. I just like growing up watching Sunday night with John Madden, I think is just burning in my brain. So like this the Sunday night broadcast always does it for me. And I really like the countdown for Sunday night. They got
Mhm.
Tony Dungy, Drew Brees,
The theme,
uh
dude, the theme song, dude. I have it stuck in my head so badly.
yeah. So I'm a I'm a fuck Monday. I'm a marry Sunday, and then like you, I'm gonna kill Thursday because
There's a
look,
suck.
yeah, I look, I'm not giving up on Thursday night. Like hopefully this year with the new format, they can get some better games in there. I mean, look, we have seen some really good Thursday night games, like Chiefs Chargers last year, the one we went to. That was a hell of an opener for Amazon and their, network
I heard I
kickoff.
heard it I heard it was a pretty good game at least, but yeah.
You were there physically,
I
but
was
that was
there
about
physically. If you guys don't know what we're referring to, you haven't listened long enough, but
it.
if you know, you know.
Miles calls me after the game and he's like, dude, the Chargers won. I'm like, oh, now I know you're fucked up.
I was beyond that,
Because we
dude.
did
I was,
not win.
and then I just
But
woke
yeah.
up in my hotel room the next morning, and I was like, "Damn, we lost." But,
So like
but
there are
yeah,
good Thursday night games, but I just think for some reason, I don't know if it's like the schedule maker the last couple of years. That's just been terrible. But I'm willing to give Thursday night more chances. And so yes, I don't love Thursday night just from like you said, a player perspective. Having the short week and all that stuff. But Thursday night games, it's a pro and a con because you got a short week, but then the second you're done, you're in like a mini bye week. So it kind of cancels out in some sense, like
so we do have a late bye week this season, I guess, if you think about it, a little bit of a late bye week.
a mini bye week with the
Yeah, because
Thursday
that
night.
Raiders game is the December 14th, so that Thursday night game. So a
Yeah,
little bit of a
so
bye week.
it's kind of a. I mean, I think they cancel out because you got to play on an early week, but then you get a mini bye week after that. So I mean, I'm willing to not give up on Thursdays, but as of now, I would definitely. I mean, you can't put anything above Sunday or Monday.
I honestly, geez, why did I say that twice? But I think I would prefer my team. I think I would prefer the Chargers not playing on Thursday night. If the other 31 teams want to play on Thursday night, go for it. But if that means that we don't have to have a quick turnaround and we can get guys healthy and have at least 6 days off in between every single game that we play, that doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world to me.
Right, and it is good to see that they only have one Thursday night game on the schedule.
Yes, and
Raiders week 15.
yep, Raiders week 15, and that's in Las Vegas, right? Yeah, in Las Vegas. So
Yeah. So, man, 6 primetime games. Again, you love when your team's on primetime because you get to watch them. No matter where you're a fan, if you're a fan in New York, North Dakota, Miami,
Nebraska.
Atlanta, like most people aren't in the geographic region to just turn on CBS and watch the Chargers. So it's always great to just know your team is going to be on TV no matter what. So I always look forward to that. Um, moving on, man. What? It's early. Again, the schedule's only been out for about 3 hours, but instant reaction slash if you had to give this schedule a strength grade, an A plus being like it's tough as nails, like scariest schedule you could conjure up. An F being like, oh my god, this is a walk in the park, cakewalk. Like we will easily go 12-4 at because we're playing a bunch of nobodies. Where would you rank this schedule on a strength scale from A to F?
So I did see before we hopped on, I saw a article about everyone's strength of schedule and based off of
Actually, to make it easier, let's just do a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being
okay.
the hardest, 1 being the easiest.
Okay, yeah, let's do on a scale of 65 to 72, how hard do you okay. But no, I did see a graphic before we hopped on. I think we're ranked like 12th in the league in hardest schedule, just based off of record from last year. Scale of 1 to 10. So sorry, 10 is really tough.
Yeah.
Um, dude, I'm looking at I think this is probably about a 7 schedule. Where we got to play the Chiefs twice. Obviously, everyone knows that. Dolphins, not a walk in the park. Vikings, not a walk in the park. There isn't necessarily a walk in the park on this
No,
schedule. I mean,
it
Bears
really
are
isn't.
Bears are rebuilding right now, but we know our issues with rushing quarterbacks in the past. No, I'm
If
not
I
saying
had to
that's a walk in the park, but
if
they
I
are
had to pick a
rebuilding.
walk in the park though, I mean that's a good point. I would probably say Lions week 10.
Nah, dude, Lions were hot last year, dude. They almost made the playoffs.
They were, but that was last year.
I mean, that was last year, but I think that they improved.
I'm not gonna put a divisional game down as a walk in the park, but
No, there's no such thing as a walk in the park divisional game.
so
Week
if it's
five,
not
week 5 should be a pretty good walk in the park, I think.
Week 5, we got in the bag, bro. We ain't losing. We are not losing week 5.
You
Put
low
it put
key
it
might,
put it on the
dude.
record right now.
Bro, if we lose the week 5, we're fire Brandon Staley on the spot.
If we lose week 5, I walk away from this team forever.
Deal. I'm with you there. But no, I wouldn't say that there's a walk in the park game on this schedule. I think that both Bears
No.
and the Lions, especially the Lions, if they catch us on a day where we're a little bit tired, yeah, they can make some problems happen. Plus, dude, they had a lot of draft picks this year, so they have a lot of young guys coming in. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, they're gonna have a lot of talent. I like Dan Campbell. I think he's gonna do a lot with that team. I'd say the easiest opponent is probably the Bears for me, just due to the fact that they're rebuilding. Or the Raiders. Honestly.
What if Fields takes another step forward then this year?
I think he will. I 100% think he will. But they were
every
that
year.
bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Every year there's like two, and this is actually, I'm going to segue here this real quick. Every year there's 2 or 3 games on schedule, on paper, that you think are going to be relatively easy. Like teams that don't scare you and they're not like based on their previous season's success. You're like, yeah, we should win those games. I would say 2 or 3 this year that we're probably going to overlook and lose 1 or 2 of these games. Because it happens every year. There's like 2 or 3 games where you look on the schedule, you're like, oh, we're gonna win that game. We're gonna win that game, and then you lose 1 or 2 of them. I would say this year, like those candidates for overlooking teams as a fan, anyways. I know teams and players, they don't overlook anyone, but as a fan, some of the games that you could look at and be like, oh, yeah, they should win that one. I ain't afraid of those guys. But then you end up losing. I would put the Bears in that group.
100%. I agree with you. I especially do prime time. Yeah, I could see that game going south. I remember last.
I would throw the Cowboys in that group too, probably.
Cowboys are good though. It's not like Cowboys are a shit team.
Yeah, Cowboys aren't bad. I always feel like they're just like they're one of those good. They're kind of like the Chargers of the NFC, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
like,
that's probably
high expectations almost every year, and then disappointment. Good, not great, but
just can't get over the hump, I would say.
Right, can't get over the hump. Like I really like, as much as I hate the Cowboys, it almost pains me to look at them and be like, we're basically the same team most years.
I think the Cowboys probably have a better defense, honestly, but we have their OC now. We have their OC now, so joke's on them.
Right.
But dude, honestly, looking at the schedule, besides the Bears, just because they're full rebuild and we don't know what to expect, dude, the worst team on our schedule is the Raiders. Like Jimmy G's serviceable. Don't get me wrong, he's a fine quarterback, but like, think about it. Devontae Adams and Derek Carr already had that connection from college going into last year. That's going to take some time to develop that connection. They just lost Darren Waller. And if you can name me like other defensive players other than Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, then you're impressive, because who the hell is on that roster? The defensive side of the ball. Nate Hobbs. Yeah, Nate Hobbs is a fine player. And they just drafted Tyree Wilson. But like, besides that front 4 on the Raiders, like Nate Hobbs is a solid player, but he's not, perennial all-pro or anything along those lines. So besides that front 4 on defense and Devontae Adams, who knows what kind of connection he'll have with Garoppolo, the Raiders are not good at all. But
yeah, I think
still split I guarantee you we'll still split with them though.
Yeah, I mean that's
just how it goes, man.
That's just how it goes, man. Like when you play a team 2 times a year, like really when you see them every year, I mean they already know what you're doing from the previous year, unless you've like undergone staff changes, coaching regimes. Like that stuff can differ from year to year, but I mean for this Raiders team, for this Chargers team, same coaching staff on both sides, a lot of the same personnel. Like they've seen each other a lot. And they, 2 times a year doesn't really seem like much, but it is, because, that adds up over 3 or 4 years. You've seen each other 6 or 8 times. And not a lot changes from year to year, especially if the regime hasn't changed. You know, the coach is still the same coach, runs the same offense. Like they know, but even the first time they meet up with you, like come week 4, the Raiders are going to have a really good idea of what we're going to do. Now, will we have some new stuff and be prepared? Yeah, like they will too. I mean, that's just the nature of the sport. But yeah, like I agree. I mean, we probably still split with them. And somehow I don't know how or why, and we shouldn't, but yeah, I mean
But we will.
that has been like the one thing that the Chargers. What stops the Chargers from being a 13-win team versus a 10-win team like they were last year is dropping those games that they should just finish. Like just finish the last 6 minutes of this fucking game and get out of here with a win. And sure enough, man, 3-4 times a year, it just goes south and it doesn't go our way. So um I think this is a tough schedule, man. You gave it a 7. I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'd bump mine up to 7.5 probably, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna give this an 8, dude. Like
it's fair.
those first 3 weeks,
I
Dolphins,
honestly
Titans,
don't
Titans.
mind I don't mind the first 3 weeks. I really don't like Jets, Lions, Packers, Ravens stretch because then that
Yeah,
leaks right into
November, the
Bill
November stretch.
Belichick and then 4 of 5 divisional games. I hate that stretch.
Yeah,
So I will
yeah,
say I am happy though. Sorry, I just have all these thoughts coming to me suddenly. I am happy that we're entering that Cowboys Chiefs stretch after a bye. So maybe the bye week's not such a bad thing because that is, especially the Chiefs, but going into Cowboys prime time and then at Kansas City, like I like the fact that
we
we're
get
going to
that
have some
extra
time
day.
to collect our thoughts before that.
Yeah, that's one thing I just noticed too right now is we do get that extra day coming out of the bye week because it's a Monday, not a
It is
Sunday.
Monday night.
So that'll be
But
nice.
then we lose a day after our Thursday night game because then we play on Saturday. So it kind of,
Ooh,
yeah, we play
ooh,
well, it goes Thursday, so then we'll have like 10 days off to the next Saturday.
yeah.
So it's
Oh,
still
I didn't
kind of a
catch
mini
that
buy,
either. Damn.
but it could be like 11 days to Sunday or
Yeah.
Monday for that matter. So
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I saw that was a Saturday, but then I just did the math. I'm like, oh yeah, the week before is Thursday night. Damn. No, that's a good catch. Yeah.
yeah, and then we have, of course, we have Broncos at home the week before that Thursday night game. Yay!
Yeah.
So
So it's way too early to make like predictions or anything like that. But just look, we've kind of unpacked a lot. I mean, how do you feel overall? I mean, I know we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but just I mean, last thoughts as we're wrapping up here. Like, what are your last final thoughts on the schedule, and how do you feel overall going into 2023?
I'll answer that, but I do have a question for you after you answer as well. But dude, I just want week one. Like now that the schedule's here, now that the draft's over, I think rookie minicamp begins tomorrow,
Yeah, pretty fucking soon, honestly. Like
really soon.
things OTAs are right around the corner. OTAs are at the end of the month.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, man, I'm just so pumped for this season. I want to get through this off season. At this point, I don't give a shit. Just keep people healthy. That's all I care about now. And let's go play football.
One follow-up question, real quick. At a first glance, this is not your official prediction. We'll have those episodes later on here in the summer. At a first glance, how many dubs do you see on the schedule?
You said first glance, so I can't just go through and count.
Well, I mean, first glance is like you've had 3 hours to look at it.
Oh, I mean, true. I haven't studied it religiously necessarily, but I probably will later. Um, I still think I think 10 or 11 is doable. I still do. I thought that before the schedule came out, and I still think that because it's the NFL, dude. We're probably going to beat a few teams that we shouldn't beat, but we're also going to get beat by a few teams that shouldn't beat us. That's just the nature of
Yeah,
the NFL.
like
So
the Browns game last year, we should not have won that, but we
we
did.
did.
Yeah,
We did. So,
And there's some games that we should have not have lost, but we did. So yeah, no, that's on par. What
dude, I will say my confidence for the season is like more heightened by the fact that Joe Lombardi is not our OC. Like that's just how much I hated that dude.
yeah, dude, 100,000 times yes. Like
I hate
he's
that man
now
so.
he's Russell Wilson's OC. It only
Oh,
gets
dude,
better.
we are gonna, dude, we are gonna sweep the Broncos this year. Yeah,
Yeah,
never
it
mind,
only
dude. We're
gets better.
chilling.
Like
We're
we
great, dude.
got
We're gonna
stronger we added by subtraction and they subtracted by
by
addition.
addition. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Oh yeah, but I still think 10 to 11 wins is very doable. Looking at the schedule, and obviously we'll know a lot more after OTAs and after all that stuff with other teams, not just us. But I still see 10 or 11 wins. I think that we're a very talented roster. I mean, the schedule does have some moments where it's definitely a gauntlet, but dude, I mean, we went on a big streak last year. Who says we can't do it again? So
I'm gonna be honest with you. I see 10. I don't know if I see 11, but
so negative.
that's just from first glance. So that's just from first glance. I mean, obviously as we have more time to unpack this, and I mean, you have a summer OTAs, guys are gonna get hurt, training camp. Like we go through a lot of that stuff before we really make our final prediction. So right now, just count like quick count in my head, and I can count 10. Um, but there could also be an extra game or two that you know OTAs off season, things change, guys can go down. Stuff can happen even before the season starts. So yeah, right now, just from a quick glance, I see 10, but look, man, this team has the potential to win 12, 13 games. Like I say 10 now because until they can prove to me that they can get over that hump, I think they're 10, like they fall right into that 10, 11 win season type of team. Um, Can they be a 13, even 14 win team? Yes.
I think we have the talent, dude. We have the talent to be the one seed in the AFC. Like
Oh yeah,
we
100%.
have the talent on paper. It's can we keep it healthy and can
Yep.
Brandon Staley do the necessary measurements to make sure everything runs smoothly?
I completely agree with that, man. So look, man, this is just like the best time of the off season. Lots of hope. Everyone's excited. We know when we're gonna be playing these teams. And as a fan, like I'm gonna start planning some games here in the next week or two. Like I'll have some games that I'll definitely be going to. But yeah, man, it's the start of a new NFL season. There's just hope all around. Everyone's got you know so much to look forward to, and before we know it, man, training camp will be here, preseason will be here, and we'll be recording our first post game episode in no time.
And then, dude, after week one hits, you blink and it's week 17. So
Dude, it does.
I
The
honestly
NFL season
might
goes by so quick.
it's kind of like I honestly like don't mind the off season that much just because I know how fast it's gonna go by. So it's like, I hope that this off season goes by just as fast as well. But before we get
Right.
out of here, we gotta mention it. I gotta mention it. I gotta ask you, what is your favorite diss on the Chargers release video?
Dis?
Or like diss or like something that they added in to the video, like
Oh, I see what
the
you're saying.
Charger
Oh,
schedule
okay,
release
okay.
video.
Yeah, like favorite thing they did to like
Yeah,
another team.
yeah.
God,
Just
I've
off
only
the top of
watched it
your
like
head.
once or twice, but the fucking what they did with the Lions and if you need help gambling, that was great,
That
man.
was
That was so good.
dude,
Yeah,
and
that was
that one,
great.
and then did you see the Raiders barcode thing?
But did they do that for the first one or second one?
Second one. Have you not seen that
N-
on Twitter yet?
I saw, yeah, I watched it, but it was like
Okay,
quick.
so on the barcode that is within the anime, inside, if you scan the barcode, it'll give you two options. It'll say tickets for Chargers fans, and you can go in and buy tickets, and then there's a tickets for Raiders fan section, and it takes you to a Google link with the search engine is how to find a job.
Oh my God, are you
I'll send it to you
serious?
on Twitter. It's the funniest shit ever.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
Dude,
that's
like there's
awesome.
just there's so much hidden stuff. Like I'm looking at this
Yeah.
one right now, and it's the Bears is in a Build a Bear shop, but it's Rebuild a Bear, and it's just little Justin Fields playing with like blocks.
The
And
Chiefs, the Chiefsaholic. Did you see that shit?
Chiefsaholic is hilarious.
Oh my god, they're
And
there
then
for
it's
both
got
of
the
them. They have a
Pat
little like
McAfee show up in the chopper, dude.
the ankle monitor on
The
him. That
ankle
was
monitor is
great.
so funny.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel ripping the vape for the Dolphins. I just found
Yeah.
one actually as I'm looking through it now. There's a picture of Aaron Rodgers looking up at Times Square,
Yes, Times Square.
but
There's the same one.
in the corner it says single Cougars in your area for the whole Zach Wilson stuff, like up on
That's
the
great.
board. They don't miss, dude. They really
They
just don't
don't, dude.
miss.
I was
I
honestly
low-key was
surprised to
like
see
kind
them
of
go back to anime, but they killed it,
I
man.
was surprised when I saw that they went back to anime because I'm not a big anime fan. I'm just really not.
No, me either.
I was kind of like really? Because I'm gonna be honest, when I first watched the video last year, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but that's just because I didn't fully understand it. And then once I kind of went through and picked up on stuff, I was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
money. And they knocked it out of the park yet again. So
Yeah. No, they did, man. They didn't look. The hits are hits, man. All you gotta do is
that's
play
why
the
they're
hits.
the GOAT. The
So
GOAT.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't
And they
fix it, man.
clearly didn't, and it clearly worked again.
They
So
made it better. So
they did, man. Well, dude, this has been a blast. I got a solid buzz going still. This has just been fun talking Chargers ball, talking schedule release. But anything else you want to throw in here before we get out of here and I get even more drunk?
no, I got nothing, man. I'm just why can't it be September?
I know, man. Hey, it'll be here. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, you're right, man. So best of
So,
luck with the rest of your buzz, my man.
all right, man. Well, let's go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Chargers Powder Hour. This has been the schedule release reaction episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys follow us on our social media channels. We have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and a YouTube, all at the same handle. You can find it at Powder Hour Pod LA. Make sure to shoot us a subscribe button on YouTube if you guys are watching this on YouTube. We appreciate you. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, leave us a review. Leave us an honest review. We love feedback, and we love to take this show to the next level. So if you guys can help us do that, all the better. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time, and bolt up.